So in the Gita so far we have completed chapter 1 and 2, and 3 also we have finished half. We'll do a few more of 3 today. In chapter 1 we studied about the different reactions of the 3 people. Keep on revising, what all we have done. We started on how in the first verse Dhritarashtra was fearful, he was partial. We looked at how Duryodhana was bragging, he was doubtful of the people on his own side. And then we see how Arjuna comes in the middle and he is full of compassion and scared also that he's going to do sin, and he doesn't want to fight, he wants to give up. He gives all those reasons. And we also understood the different explanations that Krishna gives in chapter 2, right? We looked at how Krishna explains that you have to work with the knowledge, you have to do your work with the knowledge of your real identity at all times. We also learned that which most people don't know, who are in the state of bhogi. There are many people who are not in the state of a yogi, or they are not in the state of they are basically always running after material enjoyments because they don't know that they are the soul, and they actually have a duty towards their soul. They neglect their soul. And then we learned that if you are focusing your mind on any of the sense objects, how it will lead to anger, either because of increase in greed or because of non-fulfillment you become angry, and then it leads to a fall, right? And then we learned that what is the secret of keeping ourselves free from sense desires. It is by developing a higher taste where we start enjoying and reveling in being one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or basically being one with what the world really requires, always being in harmony with what is the requirement in the world today, and having a sole purpose of serving that purpose, just one single-minded focus. Now, Misha, good to see you. Has Misha also joined? Hare Krishna, Misha. I think Misha has not joined with audio yet. Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Misha. Good morning. Right. So in chapter 3, by the time you will learn chapter 3, you should be clear about what is Karma Yoga. We have already looked in the last class about Ritika had also told us how, yes, we can practice spiritual life, because unlike what Arjuna thought and what many people think, starting to follow the teachings of Gita does not mean stopping your action. In fact, it is the opposite. It means you do your actions with a lot more single-minded focus, right? So it is least far away from the idea that you just meditate the whole day. It's actually you are active. And then how anything you do when you connect with Krishna, it is sinless. And today we are going to see a very beautiful factor that Krishna brings forth, how each one of us have to strive to set a purpose. We have to be an example for others. That is what Krishna is going to tell us, and it's also an answer to Arjuna asking in the second chapter. First chapter he asks, if I fight this war, then the traditions will be lost, and children will not have any traditions to follow because so many fathers are going to lose their lives. So dynasties will be lost, and Krishna will explain how it is important to actually set an example. It is a duty of the adults and elders, and even children are in some way leaders. Everybody is a leader in some way or the other. So Krishna tells us that it is more important that you realize your duty as a leader. Everybody is a leader, because there is someone out there who is following you. When you're a leader, people will look up to you and follow you. That is the teaching of today's shlokas. But let's go back and revise the chapter. The verses 3.1 and 2 are both related to Arjuna saying that I am confused, and how Krishna will solve the confusion in verse 3 onwards. So Arjuna says, Ekam Vada, don't tell me that I should focus on Krishna and I should always remember that I am the soul, and then you're telling me go and fight. What is it you want me to do? Be clear. And Krishna says in the verse 3, he says that I already told you there are two classes of people. One who follow the path of knowledge, who are forever contemplating and thinking about, the Niranjana has also come again. Okay. The people who are forever contemplating in the Sankhya Yoga, discrimination between what is real, what is unreal. That is a path of knowledge and the path of work. And Krishna says it is better to, which is better according to Krishna? Misha, can you tell me? Path of knowledge is better or path of work is better according to Krishna? Misha, do you remember?
The path of knowledge.
The path of? Knowledge. Yes, path of knowledge actually comes automatically when you do your duty with bhakti. So Krishna actually says the path of work you should do with the knowledge, and then automatically bhakti also comes into that. So actually he is talking about always following work is more important. Doing your duty is more important. So in this entire chapter you will find the beginning part, he says that he talks about true renunciation and false renunciation, right? He says that false renunciation is, these are all the last time slides, I'm just going through them. He says that many people, they think that they stop doing all work, okay, and they think that they are sitting meditating and that they are actually, they are reaching perfection. But they are not. Why? Because their mind is always going into different sense objects, and we saw those example of that rishi who was kind of actually a bhogi. He was not a yogi at all. And any duty which is done without Krishna consciousness will give us either pap or punya. That means it will give us some result. To be able to do work with no result, you have to have no attachment to the result. And then we understood, what else did we understand? True and false renunciation we understood, and working for the satisfaction of Krishna. Okay, so that was chapter 1 to verses 1 to 9. And then we understood what is the meaning of yoga. Karma yoga is the first step. So it begins with, before you reach karma yoga, that is the first step of starting yoga. People are very materialistic. They are only thinking about, like animals, what to eat, how to eat, they're sleeping, mating, defending themselves. They don't believe in the Vedas. They just want to enjoy. They're very selfish. They're very self-centered. They are in the materialistic mode, or they are bhogis. Then comes Karma Kanda, where God has prescribed the Vedas. People want to follow and do all those yagyas and everything, so that they get, by doing the yagya properly, they get pleasures. Many of these yagyas are for different materialistic fruits. For example, to get a child, or to get more rich, or to make my kingdom bigger. So these are different sorts of yagyas which people do. But through the Vedas, when you concentrate and constantly do that, you please the demigods. The demigods are the other, the god of water, the rain, all these gods, they get pleased and they bless us. So then this cycle goes on. But when do we start our relationship with Krishna? That is the main teaching of Gita, where we understand Karma Yoga, right? And Karma Yoga also comes in two steps. It starts with Sakama Karma Yoga and then Nishkama Karma Yoga. In Sakama Karma Yoga, you are still having some selfish motive. There is some attachment. And Nishkama is when you reach a state where there is no attachment. Okay? So is it even possible in the modern age? Yes, it is possible. And how do you do that? You do that by chanting Krishna's name. That is considered to be the easiest way. And we looked at how Krishna also gives a warning that, what is a warning he gives? Anybody remembers? Anything that you're getting in this world can, yes.
Anything you're getting in the world.
What do you do, Misha? You have to offer it to the, you have to offer, even if you're having food, you offer it first. Isn't it, Misha? Do you pray before you eat?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
correct. So, so these were the things we looked into. In text 14 was very important, right? In text 14 we learned about the cycle, right? And is the water cycle wrong that you learned in science? Is it wrong? When I taught you about the cycle, do you think that the water cycle is wrong?
yes.
No. Who said yes? The water cycle is not wrong. It's just a part of the material world. You know, the water particles are evaporating and then they go and become clouds and then they fall as rain. Yes, it's true. That is just how the material world, these different atoms and particles of the material world, they are behaving. And we are studying that by looking at all those through our senses. So they are not wrong. But here in Gita, we are learning another cycle which is related to our thoughts and our energies and with what motive we do work. Alright, Arth? So it's not that the water cycle or the science that you learn is wrong. Scientists are doing their duty. It's a good thing. They are, helping to make the world, the people's life easier, by discovering and inventing so many things. It's not wrong. They are doing their duties. So what is needed, is missing, is the understanding that ultimately everything is happening because of Krishna, not because of our own efforts. Every single movement and thing happens by the grace of Krishna. Okay, so we learned about the cycle of sacrifices, how our duties are prescribed to us by the Lord, and when we do our duties with a pure mode, our mind becomes pure when we do it in the mode of sacrifice, then we get all bounty, rain, grain, all that comes. And then what should we do? We should offer all that to Krishna instead of thinking that, oh, this is all mine. So we also have to lose our sense of possessiveness related to everything. Now today we have almost completed this yagya. We went through all this, how last class we went to how actually the grain is produced from the soil and the mud, right? So we are actually produced from the mud. Our body is also coming from that. And we learned about how Krishna is reminding us about the importance of performing our work for Krishna, so that we get prosperity. And then we are able to do our duties in the spirit of Krishna. And that becomes a cycle. It's just a cycle, right? And then we, you know what? Yes, somebody was saying something. This is about a miracle which I wanted to tell you about last class also. Whenever you serve God for His pleasure, or when you are doing, everything you do for the good of the world, there is no selfish motive. Everything you do is for the good of the world. Then the universe starts cooperating. Have you read the book by Paulo Coelho? What is that book? Alchemist. Have you any of you read that book? In that we have someone who is going around exploring, trying to find treasure, and then he finds the treasure very much around at home. He realizes that it's all in there. And we also have, anybody remembers any other quotation? There are lots of quotations which tell us the world will help you when your motives are pure and when you want to serve Krishna and when you want to do things for the benefit of the world will support you and you will see miracles. Okay, so those were the teachings of last class. Today we are going to do the fourth point here. Okay, so let me stop sharing and come to today's class. Today we have many students who haven't yet joined. Let me share the screen with...
Ma'am, because the exams are going on.
Because exams are going on. Okay, yeah. Alright. So today's class we have completed. We are going to do leading by example. We are going to do the fourth one, 3.17 to 3.35. Okay. So here we are going to see, let's look at 3.17. Krishna says, यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यादात्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टस्तस्य कार्य न विद्यते. So this is a very unique teaching. Today what you're going to learn is very beautiful. Krishna says that one who has reached, the state of mind where he is able to be in pleasure in his own self. He doesn't seek any external, desires. There is nothing that he wants from this world. He is self-satisfied and he is just working for the good of the world. He has no duty. Can you imagine that state? It is a state which is very pure. Once you reach that state of purity, such a great soul has no more duties to perform actually. He doesn't have any duty. And the very unique thing is that he doesn't have any reason to perform duty, nor does he have duty towards anyone. He has no need to depend on anyone. This state will come when you stop all your desires and stop all your sense of possession and you have no attachment. You will automatically, God will grant this state. So he says, a self-realized person has no more purpose to fulfill. So people, many people, they are trying to earn money, they're trying to do this, and then they're thinking that if I do this, I'll be happy. Ultimately, they say if I do this, I'll get this, then I'll be happy. And then they forget that you can just be happy even without going on striving to do this and that. I'll get that and I'll be happy. My friend has this phone, if I get this, I'll be happy. So you're going on. Desire is what is telling you that no, you're not happy now. You actually can be in a state of happiness right now when you have no desire and you do whatever you're doing. It's not that you will stop doing what you're doing. You will be doing, but your state of mind is pure. That is what we are trying to achieve. And in verse 3.19, after Krishna will say in 3.17 and 18, he tells us that this is a very unique exception. Everybody has to do duty, but these kind of people who are self-realized, they don't have any duty force, that they have to do. So therefore he tells Arjuna now, he gives the order to Arjuna in 3.19. Therefore, without being attached to your fruits, you should act as a duty, because when you work without attachment, you will attain the supreme. And he says, gives example. The only example in Bhagavad Gita which is given of a king is of King Janaka. Which king's example is given in Bhagavad Gita? Anybody knows who's King Janaka? King Janaka. Today we will be also doing a small story of King Janaka. Can somebody tell me who is King Janaka? King Janaka, anybody knows?
No, ma'am.
You don't know King Janaka? Have you read the Ramayana? The Ramayana happened before Mahabharata, no? In Ramayana, the Rama and Sita.
He was the father of the Sita.
Yes, Ritika. King Janaka was the father of Sita Mata. Right? So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he praises only one personality, and that is King Janaka. So Sita Mata is a daughter of King Janaka. She got married to Lord Rama. Now after getting married to Lord Rama, she had so many tribulations. Tribulations means difficulties. She went to the forest with Lord Rama. She had so many sufferings, right? Then they came back to Ayodhya, and after some years again she was sent to forest. She was brought up with, when she was a child, she was brought up with so much of love by Janaka in Mithila. So the father of a daughter will usually be so anxious, right, when his daughter is suffering so much. But King Janaka, he never asked Rama or Dasharatha, why are these things happening to my daughter? I have brought her up like a queen. So, King Janaka, he never asked, and in no place he interfered also. So this is, a mark of a very great person. And Rama actually appreciates Janaka for this within his heart, But in his life as Rama, he could not tell King Janaka about his appreciation. So later on, when he comes as Krishna in the during the Mahabharata era, he glorifies Janaka in the Bhagavad Gita. He actually talks about how great a person he was, and we learn something from this. Can someone read it for me? Arya, can you read the first thing? Yes, who is that? Can I? Misha. Okay, Misha, you read from We Should Not Become, you read that, and everyone can take turns to read today. Arya, you can read the last 2 lines. Read from, okay,
Yes.
yeah. Misha, yeah.
Not to come too intimate with our relationship, too much intimacy always results in problem. We should have a good working relationship with everybody.
Yes, it means intimate means close. We should not become too close and interfering and poking our nose in any relationship, because too much closeness always results in problems. So we should try to have a good relationship with everyone. Yes, and who was reading the last 2 lines? Arya.
If our relationship with the other living entity is completely strained, our mind keeps on pondering over the same thing, then we will not have a peaceful time to do devotional service.
Exactly. And the aim of human life is to be able to do devotional service in a spirit of sacrifice, right? We learned about that last class. Arya, you had, I think, missed that class, no? But that was what
Yes,
we
ma'am.
learned. We learned about, doing in the spirit of sacrifice. That's not possible if we have too many strained relationships. That is the reason why we should try not to have strained relationships, so that our mind is not going on pondering about that. So that is the reason why King Janaka, not only that, he is a very great devotee, and he is considered as one among the 12 Mahajans. Mahajans were declared in the Bhagavatam. We come to know that the Mahajans were the 12 great people along the history of the world. They are leaders in religion. Krishna has actually said that these are the 12 people whom we can follow: Brahma, Narada, Shiva, the 4 Kumaras, Kapila, Manu, Prahlad. Janaka Maharaj is the 8th Mahajan. Yes, Nisha, your hand is raised.
Ma'am, what is a Mahajan?
A Mahajan is a great person. Maha is great. Yeah. He's a great personality and these people are the only ones who truly understand the Lord. They are considered as those people. It's very difficult to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And his different avatars, and it's not even possible to understand by even most gods. But these are the 12 people who are able to understand the principles of religion and about Krishna. So they are very great people, and we should try to follow them. Let's look at a story of King Janaka. We are going to today look at a small story. Now this story has several versions, and you might have heard of it in other ways also, but let's look at this version today. You all heard of Narada Muni? Have you heard of Narada Muni?
No, ma'am.
Narada Muni, you have heard, others have heard. Someone else has heard, Nisha has not heard. So Narada Muni is also a Mahajan. But you know what? He is a Mahajan who was a little mischievous also. He liked to go around the world, he will share the news and he will share wisdom also. And one day he comes to King Janaka's court. And King Janaka also has another name called Videha. That means dead or free from the body. Actually, King Janaka, he had no attachment to body and bodily pleasures and sense organs and desires. He had nothing. He was very pure. Alright, so Narada once asked him, someone would like to read the story? Niranjana? Yeah, Niranjana. Yeah, Niranjana can start, and whoever else who did not read today can continue the second paragraph. Yes, Niranjana, please read.
Great sage Narada asked one day. Their words are, how are you called as Videha? You live in this world. Who can you be Videha? How can you be Videha? Raja Janaka said, this is very simple. I will tell you about it in the evening. Now, please do this little job for me. There is a milk in this bowl. You can take this bowl and come along with me. Please see that not a single drop of milk is spilled on the earth. Then only I will tell you why I am called there.
Narada took the bowl and followed Janaka everywhere. He had to be very careful because the bowl was such that by the slightest movement the milk might have spilled. He got very tired. When they returned in the evening, Narada asked, please tell me now, I'm quite fed up with carrying this bowl and following you everywhere at the same time.
Right. Now, Arth, can you continue reading?
Yes, ma'am. Raja Janaka said, first of all, tell me what you have seen. Narada, nothing except this bowl of milk so that it won't spill. Raja Janaka, didn't you see there was a big procession in my honor? Then there was a court
Wherein?
wherein there was a program of dancing. Didn't you see anything? Narada said, no sir, I have not seen anything. Raja Janaka, my child, likewise with me, I also see nothing. All the time I just watch my attention. Where is it going? Making sure that it don't spill away like the milk. This sort of attention one has to develop. Gita Nirod.
Chitta Nirod. Chitta Nirod. Okay, so let's see what Chitta Nirod is. So we have different people we can learn from. Here I have taken a quotation from this Mataji Nirmala Devi. She is explaining what is Chitta Nirod. So who will read what is this explanation given of Chitta Nirod? From the story, what do you learn also is coming as a moral over here. Yes.
Now can I?
Yes.
This sort of attention one has to develop. Nirud means the seat of your attention. So your attention should be not on saving money and worldly things and all that, but attention itself must be saved. As you watch your money, as you watch your road when you drive, as you watch your child when it is growing, as you watch the beauty of your wife or the caring of your husband, all put together you watch yourself, your attention. Sri Mataji.
Yes, so you have to constantly be attentive of your own attention. Those are called metacognition skills as well, you know. So you're actually thinking all the time of where is my attention. Although you are doing all the different work without attached to all those things, you're able to concentrate on yourself throughout. Now that requires some practice. Okay, so in Srimad Bhagavatam it says we should follow the footsteps of great devotees. And look at this person. Is he a good leader? Is this person a good leader? What is a leader saying?
No.
What is a leader saying?
Please don't remove.
Yeah. And what are the followers saying?
We will do what you do, not
what you say. So just saying is of no use. A leader is one who will do. He is himself smoking. What is he doing? He's saying don't smoke, but he's himself smoking. So a leader needs to be someone who is doing what he's preaching. Okay, so you need to choose your leader. We also have role models. You should choose your leaders also very carefully. A leader is one who will show by his actions. Okay, this is a very important shloka which I want us to learn. Yad yad acharati shreshthas tat tat eva taro janah sa yad pramanam kurute lokas tat anuvartate. Just whatever actions a great person does, so also the people will be doing. That is the reason why we have to set an example. Pramanam is example, so that others will be able to follow. Right? So this here we see how Krishna is actually also telling the answer that it's by fighting the war you are going to be setting a good example, and you are actually setting a tradition of doing the duty. So don't think that by killing and all those people are going to die, so the traditions are lost. On the other hand, if you don't fight, you will set a bad example. Why? Because people will say, oh, Arjuna, when he went into the war, he didn't fight. It was his duty to fight, but he didn't fight. So I'll also not do my duty. Right? So people have to learn to do their duty. So I want one by one these verses just in short, because they are all talking about the same principle of doing duties. Yes, Misha, try reading the meaning of 22 of chapter 3 verse 22.
O son of
Pritha is Kunti Devi's name. Okay, so Krishna is saying this, Misha. Pritha is Kunti Devi's name.
there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties.
Very good, Misha. Who is saying this? Who is saying this paragraph, this verse?
Misha.
Misha is reading it. Yes. Krishna. Yes. So Misha, you are reading this verse. This verse is being spoken by Krishna. Krishna is telling Arjuna, O son of Pritha, I am the Lord of the universe. I don't have any duties. There's nothing that I need to get, because everything is